What's going on, everybody? Yeah, I'm back with another episode of Shop Talk here at Maneuver's Garage, and I just want to check in to see how everybody's doing. You're drinking your water, staying out the way, getting up, going to work every day. But the main question I have for you guys is, are you getting there the best way you can? That's today's conversation piece. We're not talking about the fastest way. Let's talk about the flashiest way. I'm talking about when your back is against the wall and you got to get your hands dirty type of way. I'm talking about when you have no other option but to put it all on the line in efforts to push forward, knowing your limits within the circumstances while upholding your responsibilities type of way. Because the truth about it is, getting by the best way you can means you have to do what works for you. You see, I got fired from my last job. And then but before I got fired, I picked up a part-time job to get caught up. I want to start saving money, try to get ahead. But, it is what it is. I was tired of living paycheck to paycheck. And there were times I had to call home. Now, don't get me wrong, I was grateful to have a home to call and say, hey, I need some help. But with me being older now, it's like, I gotta start, not gotta start, but I have to figure things out. Like I don't really have a safety net. Like, yeah, I can call home, but it's like I don't want to call home. I'm supposed to be getting out here on my own, getting out the mud type time. But nevertheless, the truth is, it took me a while to be able to actually speak up and ask for help. And it made me realize that there's nothing wrong with asking for help when you need it. And I'll go back to this story time and time again. One night I was talking to my brother Dom when we were complaining about life, and I was telling him about what I had going on. He told me about what he had going on. And then he was like, yo, bro, you need to borrow some money. I got you. And I was like, nah, bro, I'm good. I'll figure it out. Like, I appreciate it though, but I'm going to figure it out. And he was like, well, bro, just so you know, sometimes figuring it out is accepting help from others. And it really made me think about what he was implying at that moment. And then he went a little bit further by saying, yo, bro, I've known you for a long time, and you always find yourself in these situations where you say you're good, you got it, you'll figure it out. And I just want you to know, bro, it's okay to take help every now and again. And we talked a little bit more about the situation, but it made me realize that, sometimes getting through a tough situation is accepting help from others. But the thing about that for me, it was always, I was scared that get thrown in my face and, used against me. But with my brother, it was never that way. And it made me realize that, I actually have people around me that support me, but I feel like I don't want to take advantage of that. But it's not necessarily taking advantage as long as you're not abusing the support that you have. And it made me realize that, I have been struggling more than maybe what I needed to. And that there were times where I should have just accepted the help and moved on with it. But like I said, sometimes we get caught up in the wrong way of thinking and it changes things. But the truth of the matter is, getting by the best way you can look like accepting help from others. Whether it's financial support, emotional support, you know, somebody may have a connection to a job somewhere that can help line you up, put you in a better position. But then you got people out here that are grinding with no safety net, no connections. They just out here on their own muscle making it happen. And the truth of the matter is, as long as you're managing to survive, that counts as getting by the best way you can. Because a lot of us are surviving paycheck to paycheck, and it's like we're one check away from being in a bad predicament, But the fact that we still make it means you're still making some kind of progress. But sometimes we may not see that as progress because we're so caught up on where we are. But the truth of the matter is, survival is still progress. You might wonder how that's possible. Well, think about it like this: if you're working a job you don't love to fund a dream of yours, this car channel, for example, um, that's surviving while making progress because you have a goal in mind, and your goal is to utilize your current tools to build a better project for yourself. You're building a better project for yourself. What I meant to say was you're utilizing your current tools to build your project for a better tomorrow. That's what I actually meant to say. Because that's the truth when you're chasing a dream. Like, you're tired of doing the daily grind. You're tired of getting up every day. You're tired of being told to do by. I'm gonna stop right there. Anyway, I'm not gonna. I want to say some things, but I'm gonna say that for another episode where we're gonna come back and I will tell you why I got fired. It's gonna be a good episode, especially when we talk about some of the real punishable offenses that took place at my former job. Just saying. It's funny how people see what they want to see when they want to see it and how they want to see it. And then what they do is they'll use someone else to do their dirty work, and then they'll walk around like the big machismo, like they did something big and bad. And my thing is this: if you didn't do it yourself, brother, you ain't that big and bad now, is you? But we'll circle back to that conversation in a future episode. Now, back to making the progress. Because the truth of the matter is, no matter where you go, no matter what you're doing, you're, like I said, you're funding your dream, using your job to fund your dream. You're making progress because you have a bigger vision in mind, you have bigger goals in mind, you want more for yourself, you want better for yourself. And a lot of us get locked into the idea of being stuck at a job forever, when truthfully, if you have the mindset and the willpower to persevere, that you can persevere anything. If you can get up every day and you can make money for somebody else, and you can find ways to make money for yourself. And I'm not just saying this because I have a car channel, because the truth of the matter is I'm not making any money yet. Hopefully that will change this year. But it's like, when you feel it, when you feel it in your body that the thing that you want scares you, that's the right thing. And I mean, as far as when you have an idea, it could be an invention, it can be a song, it can be a design, it can be, anything you want it to be. But when you feel nervous about it, and you feel scared about it, and you feel queasy and unsure about it, more than likely that's the thing you should be doing. Because before I got to this point, I was just shopping the idea around, talking to my friends about it, talking to my family about it. And then people were like pushing me, like, yo, bro, you've been talking about cars for a long time, dude. Make a car channel, do something. Like, you have all this knowledge, take it and apply it. And, it's going to take some time to see the residuals of it, but once you get there, you'll get there. And I told myself I'm in this for the long run. I'm not going to do this and because, oh man, it's not working out, now I'm going to give up. You got something that you believe in, fund it. However you have to do, fund it. I got another full-time job, so I wasn't even worried about the last job, to be honest, because, again, I'll save all that for the next episode. But I have another full-time job, which I'm going to start this week. And then before that, I still got my part-time job, and I got some gig work. So I'm doing what I have to do to fund this channel, because I believe one day it's going to turn into something great. And if you're out there and you're working on things, hopefully I'll see more people out here doing more things. I love when I go onto Instagram and I see like new creators, and TikTok I see new creators and people talking about, how they were scared to get started and now they're here and they're seeing the progress. And I think it's just an amazing thing. So if you really have something that you're chasing after and you feel like, well, I'm just surviving until, this takes off. Guess what? You're still making progress. You're still moving forward. You're still doing what you got to do. I mean, it may take a little bit for you to take off, but hey, keep grinding. You got to keep grinding. You have to get there the best way you can, and that's what I tell everybody. Because the next thing we want to talk about is, are your choices moving you forward or are they just keeping you busy? Again, it's one thing to, when you're working a job, to fund your dream, fund your goals, fund whatever it is you want to do. But I feel like it's a whole different thing when you're just working to pay bills. We all have to work to pay bills, but I feel like when you're just working to pay bills, it's like, what are you setting yourself up for? What do you want to do long term? Like, you just want to retire from a job 20, 30 years from now? I mean, it's not really, to me, it's not really a thing anymore, retirement. You know, it's like you got people that go to college, right? A lot of people, they went to college, they went to get a better education, and then you got some that just went to school long enough to get a financial aid check, and they disappear, and then it's like they keep running the cycle. Are you doing something with a purpose? Like, are you doing something to improve yourself, or are you just doing something to kill time for a little bit of a come up? At the end of the day, if you're taking the shortcuts to try to get there, the shortcuts is what's going to hold you back. The shortcuts are going to self sabotage you. No matter how you see it, no matter how you scope it, you have to position yourself to to gain the advantage. And if you are serious about getting there, you can gain the advantage, but at the same token, you don't want to lose your integrity. Because once you lose your integrity, you lose everything. If you compromise yourself to get to the end zone or to wherever you want to get to, but you don't recognize yourself once you get there, did you really make it? And I mean, if you can live with the choices you made, if you are cool with cutting corners and burning bridges because you think it'll get you there faster, I mean, go for it. But when you use people to get where you want to get and then you just drop them off or pull the rug from up under them, you hurt yourself in the end, really. It's important to network with people. It's important to get out there and don't burn the bridge, build a bridge. Build as many bridges as you can. And then what you want is you want those bridges to go into communities where you can pull resources from. Because once you start pulling your resources, then it will also help you gain the advantage in your efforts to getting to where you need to get to. We can do it by ourselves, but sometimes knowing the right people, making the right connections, it can make all the difference. It can make life a lot easier. And sometimes you just meet people by random. Sometimes things happen that way. When you meet people by random, you never know who you're meeting, who you're talking to, who you could be talking to. Like, for example, when I was in the ER a couple of weeks ago for my concussion, actually, this was back in December. My fault. Yeah, this was back in December. So my egg is still a little bit scrambled, forgive me. But when I was at the ER, I met this couple, Dan and Trish. Shout out to Dan and Trish, by the way. They were there getting seen, duh. And we actually ended up talking for a little bit and making a little bit of connection, exchanged Facebook information, YouTube information, and it was just, to me, it was just cool to, not meet people in the ER, but it was just cool to meet random people, have a conversation, and then, like, now we exchange information. So, and talk every now and again. Hope y'all doing better, by the way, if you see this video. Last point I want to make in regards to getting there the best way you can. is you have to check your direction. Some people think it's all about speed. It's not all about speed. See, what happens is you start to speed when you panic. Panic sets in when we feel that we're behind. And when we feel that we're behind, we start to think irrationally. And when you think irrationally, it leads to irrational decision making. And then you end up somewhere worse than you were before. So, before you get to that point, slow down. Because what will end up happening is you'll be speeding, trying to catch up, trying to pass everybody else, and then you'll burn out in the process. And then you'll burn out, you'll lose the energy. Now you gotta start all over again and regain that momentum. Don't do it to yourself. Don't even do it to yourself. What you need to do is ground yourself. Because when you're grounded, you can scope out the scenery a lot better. And then you got better control over your movement, where you want to go, how you want to do things. We all have it within us to be the best versions of ourselves. Sometimes we get caught up in a race trying to get there a little bit faster. Sometimes we get caught up thinking we can't get there because of certain hangups. Sometimes we get caught up thinking that because it's not happening how we want it to happen, when we want it to happen, and the way we want it to happen, that it will never happen. So just let me leave you with this. The best way isn't the perfect way. Sometimes the best way is going to look like getting support from other people, whether it's in terms of money, sometimes in terms of conversation. You know, sometimes it might just be a plate of food or a hug. You know what I mean? That ain't so bad. But the bottom line is you have to get there the best way you can, even if you don't have support, if you don't have a safety net, if you don't have people you can call on, people that you can rely on. If you feel like there's just nobody there, it's just you, or it's just you. Like I said, you grounded with no safety net and you're making a way out of nothing. You get it the best way you can, and it gets frustrating. But nevertheless, whether under the hood or under pressure, we move forward by any means necessary. My name is Yama. Thank you for tuning in. Be safe out there.